Morning, everyone. How is that, Lincoln? Is that okay?
Good.
Okay.
Check.
Well, we have a couple of people coming in.
계속
So we will begin with opening prayers, which are in this prayer book. So starting on page 1. And what we do is read once in English, and then we chant once in Tibetan. And the Tibetan, you can follow along. There are these words that are in bold. So that's just the pronunciation of the Tibetan. So you can follow along if you like, or just listen, or, however feels most comfortable for you. So we do once in English and once in Tibetan, beginning on page 1. All mother sentient beings, especially those enemies who hate me, obstructors who harm me, and those who create obstacles on my path to liberation and all knowingness, may they experience happiness and be separated from suffering. I will quickly establish them in the state of the most perfect and precious Buddhahood. Page 2. Thus, until I achieve enlightenment, I perform virtuous deeds with body, speech, and mind. Until death, I perform virtuous deeds with body, speech, and mind. From now until this time tomorrow, I perform virtuous deeds with body, speech, and mind. Page 3. All sentient beings, limitless as the sky, take refuge in the glorious kind Lama Vajradhara, the embodiment of the body, speech, mind, qualities, and activities of the Buddhas of the 10 directions and the 3 times, source of the 84,000 categories of the teaching, and Lord of the Sanghas. And we take refuge in the kind root Lama and lineage Lamas. We take refuge in the deities of the mandalas of the Yidams. We take refuge in all the exalted Buddhas. We take refuge in the perfect Dharma. We take refuge in the excellent order of the Sanghas. We take refuge in all the noble Dakas, Dakinis, and Dharma guardians, possessors of the eye of wisdom.
sen je wo san je jum den de nam la gyab sen je wo dam be jo nam la gyab sen je wo nam la gyab sen je wo ba wo kan ro zum me zo yi je je jan dan den ba nam la gyab sen je wo.
Page 4. Until I attain the enlightenment, I take refuge in all of the Buddhas. I take refuge in the Dharma, and likewise in the assembly of the Bodhisattvas. As the previous Buddhas embraced the enlightened mind and progressed on the Bodhisattva's path, I too, for the benefit of all sentient beings, give birth to bodhicitta and apply myself to accomplish the stages of the path.
Oi, John Joy, Ning Boy, Je, Wa, San Je, Nam Lai, Gyab Zun Je, Chu Dong, Jang Jo, San Ba Ye, To Lai, Di Yin, Gyab Zun Je, Je Dai, Ngo Je, Di She, Je, Jang Jo, To Ne, Je Ba Dong, Jang Jo, Sen Be, La Ba La, De Dai, Rim Jin, Ne Ba Dai, De Jin, Do La, Ben Dong, Do, Jang Jo, Sem Ne, Je Je Shen, De Jin, Do Ne, La Ba La, Ram Ba Jin, Do La Ba Je.
Page 5. And the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha most excellent, I take refuge until enlightenment is reached. By the merit of generosity and other good deeds, may I attain Buddhahood for the sake of all sentient beings. Sanje Chodam Soge Chodam Lai Jangjo Bardu Dagni Kyab Suche and Dage Jinso Gibe Sonam Je Rola Benje Sanje Drupa Shok. May all mother sentient beings, boundless as the sky, have happiness and the causes of happiness. May they be liberated from suffering and the causes of suffering. May they never be separated from the happiness which is free from sorrow. May they rest in equanimity, free from attachment and aversion. Page 6. Refuge of all sentient beings without exception, divine subjugator of terrifying Maras, together with their hosts of demons, the one who understands all realities without exception exactly as they are, transcendent conqueror, together with your disciples, please come here to this place.
du de bong je me ze jom ze la ngo na ma le je shen jen jor be jom den kor je ne de je su so har gam ba dien bu ve du ve a lo ge again de shabda pradita so.
Page 7. The ground is sprinkled with scented water and strewn with flowers. It is adorned with Meru, the supreme content, the four continents, and the sun and moon. As a Buddha field, I offer it. May all sentient beings attain the happiness of the Buddha fields. Whatever merit I have gathered through prostrations, offerings, confession, rejoicing, beseeching, and praying, for the sake of the enlightenment of all sentient beings, all this I dedicate. Saji puju juji medo dam re ra ling je ni de gyamba de sanje shen la me ge buwa yin roger nam da jing de jiu bai shou chang ze wa dan chu jin yao ba dan jie se ye ran ge jin so wa ye ge wa jun ze da ge je sa ba tam je zo be chang zhe jin bo. And then so now we skipped to page 11. Namo, to the Lama of utterly pure appearance and existence, I offer the fundamental ground of appearance and existence. I supplicate you to thoroughly liberate the three realms. Please grant your blessings and overturn the depths of samsara. Sublime Master, wish-fulfilling jewel, crown ornament, the inconceivable, inexpressible mind of the victorious ones, the one endowed with the five wisdoms of omniscience, gracious one, the embodiment of love, precious protector of beings, I supplicate you from within the essence of mind. Please grant your blessings from within the innate nature. Please bless me that I may realize the Dharmakaya that is beyond intellect, this primordially unborn, completely pure mind. Transcendent conqueror, the one thus gone, foe destroyer of afflictive emotions, completely perfected Buddha, endowed with logic and virtue, the one gone to bliss, knower of the world, captain, tamer of beings, the unexcelled teacher of gods and men, I respectfully prostrate, completely touching my head to the stainless feet of the unequaled Shakya king. At the time of your birth, leader of two-legged beings, taking 7 steps on this great earth, you proclaimed, I am supreme in this world. To you who are wise, even then I prostrate. Possessing a body of complete purity, your sublime form is excellent. An ocean of primordial wisdom, you are like a golden mountain, the one whose renown is evident throughout the 3 worlds, protector of supreme attainment. To you I prostrate. To you who are endowed with the supreme marks, whose face is like an immaculate moon, to you, the one with a complexion like gold, I prostrate. A flawless one such as you, among the 3 levels of existence, is most exquisite. Unparalleled, omniscient one, to you I prostrate. Supreme among humans, captain of those to be tamed, the one thus gone who severs the all-binding fetters, who with senses pacified is utterly pacified and skilled in peace, to that one, the one who dwelled at Shravasti, I prostrate. refuge endowed with great compassion, totally omniscient one who indicates the way, ground basis for oceans of merit and qualities, I prostrate to the one thus gone, the pure cause free from attachments, the virtue that liberates from the lower realms, the altogether supreme ultimate truth. To the pacifying Dharma I prostrate. Having been liberated, they also reveal the path to liberation. Thoroughly respectful of the three higher trainings, they are a field of sublime qualities. To the Sangha, I also prostrate. So then you can flip back to page 9 for the Tibetan.
Namo Nase Namda Ge Lama La Nase Sheken Sun Chopa Bu Kamsa Yondra De Sovan De Korwa Tondra Se Chenje Lo Ji Shen Nurva Tsoke Jen Ma San Je Mi Je Ve To Jen Be Yi She Nga Dan De Tse Ve Dan Ye Ga Je Jen Ando Wa Jen Ze Rinpo Che Da Sim Ye Je Nga Ne So Van De Chun Ye Je Nga De Chen Je Lo Sem Do Ne Chen Me Nam Dan De Lo Ne Chu Ge Do Ba Chen Je Lo Chan De Ne De Chen Ye Ba Da Chan Ba Yang Da Ba So Be
Sanje
Ba Dan Xiao Zhen Den Ba De Wa Ye Ba Je Den Chen Ba Je Ben De Wa Ga Lo Ge Wa La Na Me Ba La Da Me Nam Je Dong Ba Nyam Me Sha Je Ge Ba Sha Je De Te Ma Me Ba La Go Ra De Do De Ge Ve Chan Za Lo Gan Ze Gan Ye Zo Wo Ju Dan Ze Sa Chen De La Gong Ba Du Wa Nga Ne Je Den De Na Jo Je Song Ge Ze Ge Ba Je La Chan Za Lo Ananda Gong An Jo De So Song Yi Xie Jiang Zo Se Je Lun Bo Da Ta Guan Je De Song Na Lang Ye Wang Gong Bo Chu Ni Chu La Zhang Ze Lo Ngan Chen Jo Den Ba Tu Min De Wei Xie Sen Do De Wa Che La Zhang Ze Lo An De Zhe Chu De Se Ba Song Nan Zi Nian Min Chen Chen Che La Zhang Ze Lo Amen Jo De Wa Ka Lo Jun Ze Chen Gun Jo Jing Wa Ju Ze De Jin
Che
Wang Bo Xie Da Ni Ye Xie La Ge Ni Yo Xiu Ba De La Jia Za Lo Hong Kong Bo To Jie Jie Den Ba Tam Jie Gen Ba Dong Ba Bo So Na Yon De Jiang Zo Xin Di Jie Ye La Jiang Za Lo Ta Be Do Jia Ti Wei Jie Ge Wei Ngen Song Le Doi Xin Jie Ge Dong Dan Jiu Jiu Bai Xie Jiu Rui Chu La Jiang Za Lo To Ne Tu Wei Long Yang Dong La Ba Da La Rab De Ge Xin Ge Dang Ba Yan Dian Xin Gen Du La Yan Chang Za
So then we turn to page 15. I prostrate to the youthful Manjushri, to those in the worlds of the 10 directions, however many there are, all the lions among humans who appear during the 3 times, to all of them without exception, I pay homage with respectful body, speech, and mind. The force of my aspiration prayer for excellent conduct brings all the victorious ones directly to mind. Bowing down with bodies as numerous as atoms in the realms, I prostrate to all the victorious ones. In a single atom there are Buddhas as numerous as atoms, each residing in the midst of their sons and daughters. Like that, I imagine the whole Dharmadhatu completely filled with victorious ones. To those with oceans of inexhaustible, praiseworthy qualities, with sounds containing oceans of tones of melodic speech, I express the qualities of all the victorious ones. I praise all the Sugatas, with the finest flowers, the finest garlands, music, ointments, supreme parasols, supreme lamps, and the finest incense. I make offerings to the victorious ones. With the finest claws, supreme scents, and fine powders equal to Mount Meru, all displayed in supreme and magnificent ways, I make offerings to those victorious ones. With vast and unsurpassable offerings, I venerate all the victorious ones. Through the power of faith and excellent conduct, I prostrate and offer to the victorious ones. Never negative actions I have performed with body, speech, and also mind, overpowered by desire, aggression, and stupidity. I confess each and every one of them. I rejoice in everyone's merit, the victorious ones of the 10 directions, the bodhisattvas, the Pratyeka Buddhas, those in training, those beyond training, and all beings. I request the protectors, the lamps of the worlds of the 10 directions, who, passing through the stages of awakening, attain Buddhahood beyond attachment, to turn the unsurpassable Dharma wheel. I supplicate with my palms joined together those who intend to demonstrate nirvana, to remain for kalpas as numerous as atoms in the realms, for the welfare and happiness of all beings. I dedicate whatever slight virtue is accumulated through prostrating, offering, confessing, rejoicing, requesting, and supplicating to enlightenment.
Page 16.
So then to page 16. So we won't do that one in Tibetan. We just go to 16. Please turn the wheel of the Dharma of the 2 vehicles and their combination according to the dispositions and mental capacities of sentient beings.
Samje namje samba dan loye jeda wa je jan de mo de ba ye je korlo damge do je ja je re son do shen je me do du je bon jong bo ser je lung bo do wo je ve xia je ja re xiao lo ge zhong ce zhe me wo zhe tu je jing gu de ma de xie jing wu wo che dao wo tam je se guo kun chen chu je je nian men de gong ren chen ge zhong ce me chu je yang je po dong de tu song sang je gen jian wu ni rang sam chu ge wo song dong de be zhe we la me xiao lo ge zhong ce kong dao xiao zhe dong qian ji dian na de xie long mo zhe wa kang so dao ten de dong bi chu jian xiao ran be Sembaran doa dam jin de ye ge nam mo ya la ye ge dang lo dang no je ge chung da da mi ye ge nam ne do wa gun je de ge je dang ba tam ji ge da da ge chu den do. Good morning. Nga zo jitang chu tene da kaduina yang chi tazong de chu nyembe ke kaula yang ina yang ko nyen go yores chi karsena nga zo te do pena noji chongsom ro tene mayimba tene chi rada dala nyemba na yi se ya ke ko chu te nyen go yosares.
So to begin with, as is traditionally taught, whenever we listen to Dharma teachings, it's important to listen, to really be present and to take in what we're listening to or hearing. So the examples that are given, so it's often said, we should listen in a way that is free from the three faults of the vase, or we should listen like a wild animal, kind of listening to a sound.
어디가 나기 때문에 야, 그 년바 지보게 팽기 유서 말이다. 디고 야, 그 샘게 된라 디스티스 카리임바테 되네. 탱고 유서레스.
So, and of course, it's not that we just listen, but we also like contemplate or think about, what it is that we're hearing as we listen.
되네 다 되네 지류 되네 디 휴글야. 지고 되네 고베가라네 되네. 다 토스너리 고스너리 대치네. 되네 디게 토라. 되네 지 갈세거리다. 강인비게 통다 돼요. 되네야. 고통 코바정지 먼저고 되네. 고 티양 라랜 따시 고 냠랜 치고 요서레스.
And then, so not only that, so we listen, we hear, and then like hearing becomes listening. And then in addition to that, so we take in the meaning, we contemplate the meaning, but then we actually like put what we have received that is valuable to us into practice. So we actually then we don't just leave it at listening, but we also like implement, the teachings.
되네 산지에 개송요래 되네. 내내 주네 타와 탑데노스 타와랑라라히 도버자 송도 되네. 다 탑데야디 갈세나지 산지에 당 장접 선배게 탑된 거다. 탑데야다 갈세 추측이요로와. 추측네 되네 인디비주얼이 고 냠슬라나 되네. 고 갈세고다. 코마토야 산지 코마토야 요리 어디엔데네 에다 개체효디 당기 공티와 나게 봐 삼바 곰바서야 되네 개체부인사레스.
And so as the Buddha himself has said, I can show you the way to liberation, or I've shown you the way to liberation, but it is up to you to actually attain liberation, in other words, to practice what I have taught, to put it into practice and actually experience the fruit. And so what we receive through the Dharma is like a map, which is the method. And so we, listen to the teachings, and then we contemplate, we put into practice, and then that practice, that implementation, is what actually becomes the means through which we eventually can arrive at awakening. We can actually reach the state of awakening or attain liberation and awakening. And so the path itself consists of these three aspects, which are hearing or listening. Sometimes it's translated as study because it encompasses both hearing and study, contemplation, and meditation.
Wada meditation labdu zo karsena tereda gombajidu laglen tariya tharesta ko meditation jidu nga so ji namdo mewa diba jibo tsegyo marida chu khansong hyawa thalaya nyamna jiba thres
Yangcha gongcha
nga so thoba gomba lagro ma thoba tamba gombajidu da meditation jibo maris.
Oh yeah. So Laglingarayana. So when we say study or listening, contemplation, and meditation, when it comes to meditation, meditation doesn't just mean what we typically think of when we hear meditation, like we're sitting in meditation, but it actually means all of the practice that we do, to pacify the afflictive emotions, to, change our activities, so that, or purify negativity, to, whatever it is that we implement in such a way that it becomes a spiritual practice for us, then that is meditation. So it's not just like sitting meditation.
어다티인도 제가 나이게 대종벌에 대인들네 갈색거래 대행하죠 대종벌에 되네 다주 베나차샤위나 되네 대행하죠다 제타 산지 줌댕데 그 추숭바텔라 갈세나 대래 직당 가서 추지도 직 추당 되는 이제 대니 뭐 가가 인반도 직 차대기로 와 되는 추단 직 대니 뭐데 가 차대요 말이스.
And so when we talk about Dharma, the Pema Garela again? Pema
추단 직 대니 뭐지 가 인반도 직 삼노당 텐데 말이스.
So the Dharma is something that then we kind of, or sometimes becomes, in the context of like Dharma language, as though Dharma and the world, or what is worldly and what is Dharma, are separate. But actually that's not the case. There's not a separation.
대니다 제타 갈세당 같은 직텐디 나라 가서 대원도 고래 근데 대원도바 나이게 직 나이게 산지게 소야들라다 가르송고 요래서도 추운지 된이잖아 그 대화 담바 투비야지 탑직 된거 요래서 way of life.
And so because actually the way, that the Buddha taught the Dharma, what the Dharma is a means by which we can arrive at happiness. We can actually create, happiness. So in that way, when it is implemented in the context of like worldly activities or the world, when it is implemented, in a purely dharmic context, in both cases, the result is well-being and happiness.
다 태양 in order to benangata dewa tambaji topguguyo.
Can we make comments or are we just listening to?
Yeah, you have listening. Okay, that's fine.
Listening.
Okay.
Well, I understand listening is good. So, please be listening.
First, you're listening. Okay. Then after that,
we can have some question and answer.
Okay.
Yeah.
It was just she made a comment about the Dharma. I think that I just needed a little more clarification.
Yeah, I will. Yes, I will. Okay.
He'll get there.
She's interpreting him.
Yeah. Right.
As yogi, or
he'll answer that later. Questions are first.
Oh, okay. Yeah, cool.
All right. So.
Now we're listening.
Great.
다티인도 가리라나 테레다 나츠케 직텐디 나라 대화 탐바라바 베네 냠네 치미나 대화 탐바 툭 그래 라고래 라와 대화 탐바 툭 그래 라고래 이네양 나츠 직텐디 나라 코 대화 탐바 마토비케 코 nenga 가와도 이슈 가래 데 하고 고요레스.
So as that's the case, so we are in both, when we are looking for happiness and well-being. So in the world, that is like what worldly activities are directed to. They are directed toward, trying to become happy, trying to attain well-being and happiness. But even though that's the objective, often that isn't the outcome. So that well-being and happiness that we're seeking maybe isn't coming. And so first we have to understand, what are the issues that are preventing, like what is really the real cause for preventing that sense of well-being and happiness.
어디 인도 가르세나 다디 조 치쇼디 나선 직텐디 캐나라 지 가르세 거다 지보 히라 메와 뇨다 용야디 가네 용을세나 individually 라나스 주라 요게 키테네 지 넘버 똑바 어다티 니 주테 차디 요레스
So as that's the case, the most important thing is to really understand, what is it that really prevents us from being happy, or what is it that really is the cause of our struggles, our difficulties in life. And when we really come to understand that those seeds, those causes really are in our own mind stream, and like our own kind of way of looking at things or thinking about things, that it is because of our own like conceptual interpretation that we have these difficulties, or that we're not, we can't find that sense of well-being and happiness.
어디 다 텔레카르스나 산제기 당기냐 송여로 산제기 녀를 추나 타르와 탑 땡유 세야디 다 테칸디스 지구글로와 티 인도 땅아도 딜레 탑데 카리죠 탑니 탑디 치 유직라 카르세글 체인지 지야 마인바 계속 치 유리 체인지군 체인지 도야 요 말에 이내야 단기 썸노 약보지 carefully you thinking 썸노 땅미나 다티 same 기 때문에 요라 정말 same 도와 라라서 individual same 티 요라 서고다 남도티 와 티인데 땅아서 다 텔라 되네 다 수주 칸디스도 네 산지기 탑 땡요레스.
And so as the Buddha has said, I have shown you, or I am showing you the method or the way to liberation, but it's up to you to implement that method or to actually attain liberation yourself. And that method that he is teaching, which takes many forms, but really in essence, what is being demonstrated or taught is that, it is not through changing outer circumstances or outer conditions. We think that's where the problem lies. That's what is making me unhappy. It's this or that problem that is external. But when we move away from trying to fix the outside, and instead we look at changing our own mind, then we really find the true key to happiness and well-being, because we can't really change the outside. Maybe to some extent we can change it, but we can't really fully change things in such a way that and the outside will never be able to be the cause of true happiness. It is only in addressing the mind that can be achieved, and in really working with the mind. Because all struggle, all hardship, all problems, all difficulty really comes down to the mind. We can,
제가 나지 기양한테 삼고 요래다. 나솔라티네 제 뇽몽바 요래 problem 요래 뇽다 요래 너 삼고 요러와. 근데 요래 참아 찍과직장 요래스. 이나코 problem 때 미찍 찍과직장 미찍리 찍과 요 말이 이나양 그 problem 맹겐 찍라 요 말이에요. 좀 산제게 계시 problem이나 가선들 제발 랭게 말이 되네. 뭐 참아라 되네. 뇽몽바 요래 직 갈레 요래스.
And it's also so we can recognize that essentially the root of all of our problems are the afflictive emotions, or the states of affliction, the afflicted mind states. And so all of like our problems and the lack of well-being really are due to that and only that. And yet it's also important to realize that this is kind of normal. This is natural. Everybody has problems. Everybody suffers from the afflicted mind states. That is inevitably the case. If it were, otherwise we wouldn't be here. That's, with a kind of how everyone who is born into this world shares that same difficulty, that same hardship. And so there's didn't that order?
Yeah, also tero ina da jekina nga so ha khoya le lawo yore jekina ha khoya kale khabo yore is yina yang kharte samno ji tang bata nga chu ki samno yakbo ji tang na nga le difficulty ji do sambatela su so bare wa te samno tang kres.
So, however, so that being the case, the normal situation that we all deal with, in first we have to understand that, but then, we can also think, okay, think about it well. So if we're struggling with a difficulty, then we think, okay, who created this difficulty for me? Or who created this difficulty?
Right, so Majek choran difficult the contemplation chiho love your matters.
But you're not. He's not saying like that. You should think, oh, that person created that difficulty for me, or some person.
No, maybe not like.
Oh, okay.
He said, okay, you kind of contemplation or meditate difficult somewhere tell you. 하고서. 저랑한테는 요거다 곰쇼 슬랍나 카레다 뭐지 럽그 거와 저랑 problem 지 곰쇼 저랑 요거다 지 삼노타 럽그 마리스 메켐바지
Oh.
럽그 도게라고 다 이제 questioning.
Oh, okay. So, it isn't that somebody is telling you to meditate on a difficulty.
Do you understand? Okay, this I take on. Okay, we thinking on create or that's problem. This difficult, right? But didn't telling you somebody tell you you meditate or contemplate, give the order you difficult. You contemplate difficulties, problems. You understand?
So nobody's forcing you to meditate on.
Right, not forcing, but
Yeah.
I said nobody's order. You do understand? Right? So that's what he said. Somebody said, you meditate your problem, Somebody give the order, then we excuse, oh, not me. Somebody give me this, somebody doing this, so then we like external things. But actually not. No one's order. No one's force you, your problem. But your own mind is like you create for this problem.
Oh,
It's
you meditate
difficult.
on it naturally.
Right, so naturally it comes. But no one's giving, or even though like not ordered by somebody give you, then they say we excuse, oh, you give me this, now I have a problem, But not really, it's the mind. Your own mind. So that's a really kind of key point, understanding. And then I think your question is Dharma, right? So Dharma means, Dharma says, Kalagores, Lamta, so Dharma says,
I understand Dharma. I know all about Dharma.
yeah, well, I can explain the details.
He's not to me yet.
Other people don't know yet.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I have an easy way to this,
Right,
the
yeah.
divine.
Right.
An easy way to the divine.
Right.
It's your body.
Right, so the
Get your body, your mind. Get in your body.
right, so the Dharma.
I'm there. I love all of you. I'm just trying to be helpful.
Right, so
We want the
Yeah.
path, we want the path to
Yeah,
the
okay.
divine.
You can listen.
We
Okay.
all are searching, and time's running out.
Right.
Yeah, I know, I'll leave. I'm glad I was here. Thank you for sharing your time with me, or me with you, or I, or you, or thee, or whatever. And I'm sorry that I've disturbed the day for you.
No problem.
Peace be with you all forever. I love you all. And the divine does also. And the divine is everywhere and everything.
Terawa tindi da tsuwo te karsana Dharma say gidowa the kechembore koranka I think very good caution he said Dharma. I think we really understanding very important we understanding the Dharma. Okay? So Dharma is okay, one hand is the Dharma means we said Buddha's teaching. We heard 84,000 teachings, this one. But really is the Dharma. Terawa. Same chu gore, same chu.
So actually, one of the like literal translations of the word dharma in Tibetan is like to fix. So it actually means like to fix the mind.
Not fix the mind. I think
Okay.
the change.
Change.
Chu or change.
It means like to change.
So how to change? Yeah, just leave long link. That's okay. No problem. Whatever he does, no worries. Okay.
Yeah.
So the change, labdu karsanta ngas change chigo kariore.
So what is it then that we are changing or that we need to change?
That change chigo the karsana ngas uk jule yobati tangi konthiwa na yere. Jik dewa thamba matin kyanji. Rwa? Jik tendi na kanye songen jik. Dona? Then that change chigo is.
So what it is that we need to change are just like what was mentioned before, which are those things within those mind states or attitudes which prevent us from a true sense of, well-being and happiness, that which that is preventing us from true happiness.
Oti ni ta te karsana te pe kechembore. Karsana sanje ke sunya thela karsung yor labna. Ta jig mayin ba jig la jig ta. Chi matho wa jig yang sung yo marwa. Ting du jig tandan jig ten di na la kange yore. Sem kange yore. Jig ga chi lu tho la kange yore. Yin ya ti kange te kange me wa so tu gres. Oti jiwlo tu gres sem ta nam tho yorwa. O sem ka nam tho yogi na re. Sem ka kange yogi na re tre. Ta sem ti ke hide jig tho wi na tene ko lu yang tene ko ti na gi hide tu gres.
And so what that also indicates is that there is the possibility of change. So it's not that we can't change these things. These things can be changed. And so, when we address, the source of our difficulty and hardship in our mind, then as that is changed, or we experience that inner transformation inwardly in the heart and mind, then there is also a change that even occurs physically in the body too.
Oda ti ndu nga zo ngone china ta tanda je ke jikten di na la ta jiksam no yakbo tang na ko yakbo tindi yore ro chi bena cha kya the particular jik no cho ba ta zo la yang ko cho ji di twinchen zumbore tiga na ye ke jik no cho ba mena ko entire world karsana jik twinchen do ya la ko dis jik le la ro yores bena.
Like if we think about it, in the West, like in particular in Western countries, but actually not just in Western countries now, all over the world, things have become very developed. So there's a lot of convenience. There's a lot of kind of material progress and technological development.
So yeah, so we think everything is convenient, easier, should be better, right? But I don't know. The reality is better or not. Like sometimes, right? So terawa pena America puktuso.
Like also he
Then,
sees, for instance, like in young children, like at least young children in America.
가르치고서나 too convenient 와.
He thinks there's too much convenience for them.
가서나 parents take care of everything, right?
And the parents take care of everything.
The children realize or not.
And he doesn't know whether the children actually realize this or not.
I don't think so, right? I don't think they don't know. Maybe a few, but so 틀리 도안에라와 opposite.
So the opposite from that.
가르쳐용 거래 라비나.
Then the fault that can come from that is the opposite is.
가르쳐용 거 라비나 테네 다 빼나 차샤위나. 지 빼나 로줍지 tel라 다 로치 니네 송데 코 가르쳐 거래라. Could develop almost like 80 years old. Thi har kablata one important to chadi or children tala.
So, when they, for example, when they reach the age of, say, 18 or so, that period of development.
I think there were pen lo jek ni ne.
Oh, Gijela, 18 Gijela?
No, lo jek ni ne 84 wa.
Oh, okay. So the years of like 1 and 2 years old to 8.
Your learning, experience. So these kind of, I don't know, these years, like 2, 3 years old to 8 years old. So like most important part, So that time is kind of more energy, more strength. Everything is like kind of the physically, this growth, just. So sometimes, I thinking like a bit, parents take care of everything, and then this kind of, one hand is the child just kind of, their opportunities maybe, block, So difficulties. So for instance, also some people, very strong work or energy is like, I really is the 2, 3 years old work, experience. So we grow up too, so actually learn everything, but no specific schools. Okay, we learn, you do these, you're cooking things, or this and that. We don't have anything. One hand. Other hand is.
So in case you didn't get that. So when he was young, there weren't like special academies for like learning different things, or it wasn't like you had to take courses or lessons to like learn different things like cooking and so forth.
Yeah, it is. It really is. Somebody say, "Oh, you were school." I never learning like a specific school in one day, But I say, other hand, it's just like we're doing the life, right? What need to like? Didn't goya jiyores kasena. sustenance jiktendi goya ji yoris.
So I think what he's trying to say is that, like, because in their culture at a young age, he still was raised in a time where there was subsistence living. So it was like what was learned was what was needed in order to survive, in order to have a like sustainable subsistence-based lifestyle.
So then, actually, this if you like 20 or 30 years old, there's basically you know how to do, and as for us, I didn't pay the school, you know.
So he learned everything without having to pay a school.
So that's, I think, not really 100%, you know, but so sometimes I think this convenience is good, right? But on one hand, it's not 100% good. So also this, I grew up, you know, we pick up, right now we go to Iraq. Sometimes, me too, we go to Home Depot or this Walmart. They got a challenge too, you know, all this take time, you know. This kind of busy and cannot find things. But other hand is we are grow up, I was young. They go to town once a year. Right, so it's not really a couple hours, you know. So, like for example, I think my area is actually probably 5 months is traveling. So the spring go north. So pick up the salt. This at least took the 2 months.
So
Around trip.
he was part of a nomad family, so they traveled, just to fill you in. Some people know that, but yeah.
Right, so we pick up salt, no need pay, but, you know, collect the salt and bring, and with the yaks. So
With yaks.
hard. And then salt, we 3 months traveling to salt. So we selling the butter, salt, cheese, wool,
Wool.
and then I buy whatever barley or sweet or things. So that time is those travelers really kind of the schedule. So they work really hard, you know, extremely, I think hard, you know, sometimes knowing difficulty, but kind of mentally it's just not really hurry, you know, like, or no, maybe no hurry, and even though no worry much. Kind of joyful, you know, still, you know, physically work hard, you know, sometimes I said very cold weather, and yeah, it's weak, like kind of difficult. But mentally, it's just kind of schedule. That's kind of everybody more relaxed. So we here, like look up at traffic, how much we get angry, right? Or there are accidents or something. So, but probably there is issues. I said like 100% joyful. No, I don't think so. There are difficulties, problems. But I believe, maybe less problems that time compared to these days, you know.
To modern times, actually more problems in modern times than there were back then, he thinks.
So, but anyway, so I think back to the mind. So the end that all kartsena, nga so choose ya di, that thing you to la, jig some no tambina, ngone jig nambe chundi ke. Tene jig tanga so jig re ze chima dawo da tene samo tangyo na dan digre pento yore yina yang kun jig ten di ke na la ko deo chibu tumbu tindi je yungya la ngone jina ta tingdu la nambe chol la peje yung mare some kind of, you know, fix do cha la.
So in that being the case, he thinks, you know, especially in these times, in these kind of modern times we have more mental difficulties than ever before, that the Dharma is especially beneficial and useful. That, and in particular, the Dharma, the practical application of Dharma, that means, really working with it in such a way or relating to it in such a way that that there's about like transformation or change within the heart and mind. Of course, like the kind of philosophy of Dharma, like thinking about past and future lives and so forth. This is also
No, by the long run,
in the long run,
degrees, yes, of course.
kind of thinking future lives, there's benefit, but also
I
just
think more important,
more
benefit.
the more beneficial is the day to day. Okay.
Right, yeah, that's true, so this really useful, so they can change. Sometimes he said, okay, Dharma is just only future life, or I don't know, maybe Western is different, okay? In the Tibetan, mostly, Dharma means, basically next life or something. I don't know these days, but most, kind of with karma or this, I can do this next kind of rebirth better. So that's kind of a little bit further. That's true, it is true, but not only that. I think more beneficial is this lifetime. If this lifetime, if you're good, and then of course continuation next life, naturally, automatically good. So in this life, or this moment, you cannot change your mind. There may be kind of expecting next life is, I don't know, they work or not.
So what he's saying is that sometimes there's this thought that, like, I'm practicing Dharma now for the sake of the future, for future lives. But even more benefit comes, he thinks, in this life when we really apply the Dharma correctly. And he said, if we don't bring about a change in our mind now through Dharma, and then have an expectation that our efforts will result in, what we desire in future lives or happiness in future lives, then that would be difficult. So more important is actually to see the results in this life by bringing about a real change.
According to Leonard, view scenario, or Sangha Kompan Tuguri, Sangha Seaji, Yore, Sangha Nazo Tarwatamji Chamber Kompan Tuguri, Taji, Shinkam Jegri, Seaji Yorwa, Tiniji Yore.
And then there's also, of course, like the Buddha. So there's the state of awakening, Buddhahood, or there's the historical Buddha. There's the kind of talk of, the pure realms or pure Buddha fields.
That till a young Samsanga Zota, Jewa Himbaji Layanda. Naranjik the Jurwa Chatang Chin and Maimbaji Chane, Sanje Kombantavi underwater, Tinichadio Maris.
And so there's kind of this distancing that can happen with that, like, oh, there's this other place, this other state, this other, in the future, in a different lifetime, or, I will be transported, or, may I be transported to the pure realms.
Yeah, also this I sort of like total aim change, not like right now. It's
like it's completely something different from
right,
what is
so there
now.
I can Buddha for, but really it's not. So, Terwa, Sanje Kompan top down metop say, Kare, Tanda Matovia Kare, not the Deva Tam Matovia Kare, Tank Conti Vanaki, Matsuju New Mochi Dogas, or Tike, top to Guiomada. Could nekabla jig difficulty yungota teledene. Tik one you kilo, that's a Ramahida Yomare.
So what it is, that kind of, whether we attain awakening or not, really has only to do with the presence or absence of the afflicted mind states in our being. So if there are the afflicted mind states, if we are under the control of our afflictions, then there, there isn't Buddhahood, and we don't have any control. But once those afflicted mind states are purified, or they are no longer have a grip on us, then actually the result of that is awakening.
So tindu ta mo khansa je ke choran sangji go mare la gwa ayo mares rawa la hinge marwa sangjin da wina ma to yina yang ta ngara so ke rang so individually ko this nyamlen chi ne ji nyom ba de chunun do wa chungna tene sangji compound ko ta nyer ndo go res tene nyama je choran ke completely control on afflicted emotion chana tene ta sangji se ya cha yo res
Gangsa Sanjay, Kadambo Kare Sumin? Gangsa Sanjay? Gangsa Sanjay Kare Sumin?
khansa sa
Dambo de Gangsa Sanjay Gere Sanjay Mato.
오베나 칸자 ngaso di tamar pa ke da khong mares majik chu sangji ri sangji mar lap thu ya yo marwa lap go ya yo mares ena sangji ro ina ha ko gro
Kare Yapoko.
ordinary majik ki chora sangji ri sangji mares lap thu mares ha ko marwa ina ya rana so so ha ko gres khanis ha ko gres ta ji drwa
And so nobody can like really judge, what kind of the situation of another is. So for instance, no ordinary individual can know, like whether you are awakened or not. Only the Buddha, only a completely enlightened Buddha can know that. But we can for ourselves, each individual can know honestly like where they are at by looking at their own mind, and also can know what the results of their practice are. Are my afflictive emotions actually diminishing? Am I actually getting closer to awakening? The sign of that is the diminishment of afflictive mind states. Am I less under the power of those afflictive mind states? Am I becoming more capable of like controlling my own mind? So that is something that one has to like be judged only by the individual for oneself. We can't judge that for one another.
All right, so little bit, change. So we want to circumambulation in the world, all right? So how many miles around Earth?
What did you say? 14,000? So his question was how many miles if we were to walk around the world?
Right.
Circumambulate the world. And Lincoln said 14,000.
Right. So that's kind of like, for example, how you're going to enlightenment, So, so then individual, you look how you really going very fast, or 40 miles an hour, or 1 mile an hour, or like, what? No, don't reverse. Okay. Therefore, but we are going to told to right direction. Okay, not reverse.
You can trust you're going in the right direction. You're not
Yes.
going in reverse.
But I saying this really fast or slow, or that's we don't know. But guarantee we can't do like planning to go there, like right direction, maybe no mistake the road, and told to the destination. But I saying this, how fast, I don't know. So that we kind of checking on, how fast. Or you quickly get there, or just you kind of relax, maybe. Not really, but take time. Or so really is that this. I'm not joking, So really as much as possible, build up the stronger, strength. So like afflictive emotions, they come in, This kind of like make challenging to us all the time, individually, right? So one different ways, So different ways means sometimes worry, sometimes angry, sometimes excuse, whatever. But that is one hand is bad, afflicted emotions, not good. They're giving the suffering, right? But one hand is we learning, challenges, better, stronger, So which means actually Dharma is really helpful, like meditation and then things kind of become stronger. That means that our side on stronger, and then these afflicted emotions weaker. Like this not together, afflicted emotions very strong, and you are what called this the
Awareness. Awareness.
Awareness stronger. This not work. So I said always like up and down, like what called this the Indian kilo, pound.
So he's talking about
Scale.
the scale that weighs, like in India, they use an actual scale to weigh like fruit, or something.
Right. So the one side is the piece of the metal, right? 1 kilo, 2 kilo, 3 kilo. And one hand is just fruit. So then this we put fruit and metal, and they never come up together, If you really got fruit, positive, support is heavier, So then this is metal is up. So metal is heavier, and then you less the fruit or vegetables.
So what he's saying is that it's like it can't be the case that you're increasing your awareness and afflictive emotions are increasing with it. It's either because as you increase your awareness, the inevitable result of that is that the afflictive emotions will diminish.
They also weakens positives, negatives too. So I said one hand is afflictive emotions bad, but one hand is more practice, more strength, So like for instance, if we have practice, first you really get angry, right? But look at practice. Because you have before your experience, so you try. So next one is you easy to dealing with your anger. Really.
So the result of, if at first you get angry, but then when that anger causes you to practice, the result of that is that you become more skilled in dealing with your anger.
So that why tell it any mazo jik nyom momba tela ko jik dubora mari tsama nyom mo yorwa. Tindi yoris yine yang ta ko tike ko kale chung roya mato ya tingma jik ta tsama tsama chan roya yo maris. Yine tike nyamnyong tela tene ko nima jik rang ki jula tanda tela gudwa mazo body system la. I think this is very similar, right? Vaccination.
A vaccine?
Yeah, this kind of that think the body strength, they handle the virus.
Oh, I see.
Or tini indu ngaso tini ke ko chagi ores symptom.
So, like, we don't need to just see the afflictive emotions as bad, like, because they become great teachers to us, and that, the more that we deal with the afflictive emotions, we apply, it is the afflictive emotions that present the opportunity to really apply the practice. And then in dependence upon that, it's like we grow stronger and stronger. So he said it's sort of like, a vaccine in the body system. It's like you introduce, like, he didn't quite say it this way, but you introduce a little bit of poison to the body, and then that actually ends up creating a strength that, like, prevents you from getting yeah, it becomes medicine. It prevents, it makes your body system stronger. It boosts your immunity.
어다 팀비 인도 지 영어 단어 들다 네게티브 코랑라 가장 거 뭐지 그 last weekend we said 이는 야다 양 가서는 지 past problem 간디구나 repeat 지나 되네 그 decrease 작 말이스 그 increasing 차스 그랬어 배는 종 요나 배 노르바 요나 problem 요나 pass로 텔레야 양초 텔레가 삼노 땅디나 테네 그 decreasing 작 말이스 그 제기는 그 효과를 넣어서 그랬어
So this is how everything works. It's that, whatever we habituate ourselves, whatever we practice, whatever we put effort into again and again, that propensity becomes stronger and stronger. So it's the same with negativities or problems. Like if we had a problem or if we maybe did, something in the past, or we made a mistake, there's some fault or mistake that we've made, if we kind of again sort of repeat that again and again, then it won't decrease, it will only increase. So whatever it is that where we put our attention and we apply effort, then that will increase.
Right, so I think the practical level is whatever issues, past, problems, you have to okay, I say everybody have problems, difficulties. That's not a big deal. But same time, the problems or whatever issues, you don't increasing. So don't increasing means,
Don't increase them.
which means is no repeat. So that is very important, So the issues, right, problems, you cannot start one day. Take time, because you create maybe not 1 minute, maybe how much you repeat, weekend time, or this problem, this.
So what he's saying is because it's very ingrained, like we've repeated a lot of those things again and again. So the momentum is strong. We can't just reverse it in one day.
Right, so how much you thinking? So we can divide, you have something individual problems, how much you repeat, how many hours, right? Or how many days. Not wholly for all day, but you count, within one day, maybe you repeat 1 hour a day, or maybe 10 minutes a day, or something, So that is we can stop, or just not one day, one moment.
We can't expect to just stop
But
it.
if you really not repeat, and automatically reduce. So then one day you can control, then no longer there are issues. So what that do, that telekarsanan itangila na dharma sa change the mind.
So this is all to kind of define or explain what Dharma really is, which is about changing the mind.
Tindu ta tiga na yike yang nga so de ji nyamle chibi ne kha ina yang ji ti trowa ji gogu yosaris gaba ji gogu yosaris.
And so that being the case, we can really take pleasure in our practice. We can really delight in and take pleasure in practice.
Tene te sungudo wa pena cha na ji tanda samno tana nga so de many ways samno tango gres. Bena lamga ji le sarvon rogu yo na tharang bo ji rogu yo na. Tene just small, joyful, or appreciate, or big, appreciate, so depending individual. But at least, nga so the bena can da wuji doa, walking can. Tenda wuji some tango des. Yoris tate.
So Dharma walking cane dawore la kyube.
At least,
at least.
Yes.
You have a walking cane.
Yes,
Okay.
or maybe you can, better, you really enjoy, maybe you have aeroplane or a nice car.
So like there are many ways to think about this, but like if we're going on a new untraveled path, like a long road, a long trail, we
At
have
the
to go very
circumambulation of
far.
Earth, right?
We can, like if we at least have a cane, to help us on the path, then
Dharma, what Dharma?
which is the Dharma, we can be really joyful, really grateful for that cane. Rebe? Not exactly. Okay.
I think not, yes, you're joyful, but helpful,
Helpful.
If you're helpful, that you're walking can. So then appreciate it. The second kind of joy, right? So really helpful, thank you, they can. So the like kind of the Dharma, or not can be respect, but appreciate. So that is your practice, At least I said, then you can more really appreciate, so like then you can.
Once you have an airplane, you can be really happy.
Right. So yeah, actually, it is really a lot of opportunities. So, 디인들 가서 다 같은 가서 디테일 바로 진도나. 종강 게라 좋아요. 종당 가서 지 추치와라 존루치 거래. 다 냠내치 거와. 냠내치 가라 티가한테 좋아지 연구 요사에 스페나 달마인 appreciation 도지. 이러와 대요나테네 고지 지토비 아요와. 디 appreciation 된 가서 object 차요 말에. 뭐네 appreciation as much as appreciation 뜻삼지 되는 가서 나라테네 팽규 요사와.
So when he taught some time ago on the 6 perfections or the 6 paramitas, and when it came to the perfection of discipline, or the paramita of discipline, as is often said, discipline, like the definition of discipline, is delighting in virtue or taking pleasure in virtue. And so that is like the same as this Dharma appreciation, or appreciating the Dharma. And the appreciation is not for the sake of the object, it's not for the sake of the Dharma. However much there is appreciation there, or there's a joyful attitude, then it only brings more benefit to oneself.
다 같은 주요는 the appreciation 다 지금 joy 되게 즉 같은 주요는 오늘 그 누파지 요로와 즉 대바당 appreciation 다 틱 시스템 그 누파디 같은 가도 주요는 밴 셀폰 웹 용도 드나길이 마 휴치아 extensive yours.
So, there's really so much power in that attitude or emotion of joy, or appreciation, faith, is tremendously powerful. So it like really pervades in a single instant, like the entire body, mind, heart, mind system. Even more powerful than, as I think he mentioned the other day, like the waves of a cell phone. So that are like instantaneous in their power and in their reach. So even more power than that are these kind of wholesome attitudes of the mind.
제가 나게 다 개체물이 있으니 제야라 그 단콘티와라 Dharma the way of life와 다 가서 루일라 지보고 노고요래 셈라 지보 노고요래 그 노와 히르존게 다지 냠내치 치고래 냠내치는데 셈 지보요 루지보요라 틴디 인도 지 가서 단기 콘티와 나기래 가서 줄래 뇽몽바 메와다 요 말이 이나양 그 가서 as much as possible 지 take one to mando와 틴디지 제야데 개체물에스
So in this way, it feels that Dharma, more than anything, is really a way of life. It is a way of life through which um, we can develop, an inner sense of well-being and happiness, both in body and in mind, because this is the result, this is the outcome of practice. So the more that we practice, then the more that there is well-being in the mind, the more that there is well-being in the body. And so of course we can't expect to just be without afflictive emotions, to suddenly be completely free of negative mind states. Like everybody has that, and that will continue to arise. But as we practice, then we are practicing, becoming more aware of those states when they arise and not falling completely under their power. And so the more that we practice not falling under their power, the easier it becomes not to be controlled by them.
So also it's a really big difference. You are no afflict emotions, right? And like I said, not really huge and joyful, but you kind of relax, the kind of whatever comes acceptable, accept.
To become a little bit more tolerant and just accepting of whatever comes, whatever the
Right.
situation
So
is.
that moment is the naturally, even though you're breathing, you kind of or breathing, or we call it energy, or we call it some of the channels or wings and so on. So this kind of really automatically balance. So that's how benefit, So mind is kind of settled down, and then that is the body too. So for example, so that's we understanding, sometimes we said you don't like the one person or don't angry to that person, then we think, oh, there's for those people, but really not. Yeah, you're nice to two, probably, yeah, there are benefits, but really understanding how benefit all mind, So if you're angry, so this is kind of like a lot of examples, Dharma, If you're really windy, how is the rough, the ocean, So
if it's really windy, the ocean becomes really rough.
So that's kind of disturbing, Maybe inner cannot disturbing the ocean deeper way, but surface. So same thing, just surface very disturbing in the body.
So he was saying, I would just to repeat, because I thought it might be hard for some people to follow, that when we say, we don't want to be, or we shouldn't be angry at someone, it's actually not for the sake of that person that we're practicing not being angry. It more than anything, it might help them, he said, to not be angry at them. It might benefit them, but mostly it benefits us.
당기 콘 휴가 나기래 고 텐디제 기치 톱이나 되네 가서 하고야 개치 뭐 산지 탑 댄스 탑된 거래 저는 곰잖아 배도 칸인도 되네 지 셈로로 지는 누파 칸인도 저는 공로사나 칸인도 되네 지 용모바 셈제요나 칸디스도 다 산지 대송구도 와배 되네 송지 되네 저는 등에도에 저는 등에 당보 배나 배면서 포 노베트 개치 뭐 히어로와 되네 나 등에 고구면도 남나 하고 말와 되네 등에 요가 다 고구로 하고로 와 하고나 야다 등에서 야 되게 지우면도 등에 요나가 되우면도 삼거와 대 하고나 다 탑지 라리 그 등에 거니 하고나 어다 뒤에 다 딜랭 가서 주님을 제야서야 돼 되네 자도 요사레스
So it's all about understanding more and more, knowing, building that awareness and understanding. So really knowing, first, we have to investigate, we have to really look, when we meditate, how does it affect us? Is there benefit in the body? Do we become more relaxed? Is there benefit in the mind? Really looking and investigating when when we are angry, what is it like when we're angry? How, is it pleasant or unpleasant? If we're anxious, if we have a lot of worry, like really noticing, what happens in the body and mind. How are these mind states? Are they the nature of suffering? So that's very important to actually directly see and identify suffering as suffering. That is why, what the Buddha taught, the Four Noble Truths are so important. Because first we have to know the truth of suffering, understand suffering accurately as suffering. And if that is accurately understood, then we have a means to overcome it. Then we have a method. And so
Also come from raw cost, yield cost raw.
so first knowing that there is suffering, identifying suffering as suffering, and then identifying what is the true cause of that suffering, and then understanding that cause leads to being able to apply the method.
So we have to good business. Right? So actually this is the Buddha time. So I think, sometimes also Westerners, you guys, educations, usually easy to understand, we're talking about generation stage, completion stage, Is if you know education, and they're very difficult understanding those what means, so that's really helpful. And also, really is the like real business, What is profit?
Profit?
Yeah.
Income.
Income, So real income, okay? So this, sometimes business may be money, but if really we are practice very, very good, business, the more than beneficial money. So interesting, so this, the business, the smart, also this most famous, like we talking about king of aspiration, right? He
In the King of Aspiration prayers, the teaching around that is that there was the request.
so he's merchant, the Songhon Norzan.
So
He's like a real businessman.
the
Like
Bodhisattva.
actual, so he just
Norzang.
selling the what called is going to ocean, pick up the jewelries, expensive corals, turquoise. He most richest and most smart in real business, early life. And then he turned to the Dharma, and same way. Really, he looking, what is the benefit? He looking the hard, So he 110 teachers, he received teachings and work hard and so on. But then he become bodhisattva. So really, really businessman, So, tini ta nga so jikten di ke samno tanya tila ko kare pento yowa. Ha kogo gures.
So we need to know like what really will be a benefit to us in this world.
Okay. So do you have some questions?
Oh, can somebody, because for the people on Zoom, we have to have the questions with the microphone so they can hear the questions too.
Thank you, guys. My question is, what's the difference between contemplation and meditation?
That contemplate, did that nga so ben contemplate the that mambo yosarawa. In that contemplation de ben cha cha na nga so ben for training the mind and the love growa. Tendo ina tene that conceptual tene jik nga tsu tang precious human love ro the precious human love the precious human love ba ji wo pheng wa kharji ne precious re do wa tene jik dana pe yo ro jik de thewa ji joba ji ndo wo tene jik pe go ne ni bar ka wa thang go ne ni bar ka wa jo ye go ne ni bar ka wa mu lu den bo che da tene ji ne sam no dang yang ro ji res da meditation do probably wa 남도 매회 돈에 하고야 차대요 됐어.
So the difference is that, and sometimes these two overlap a little bit, but generally speaking, so contemplation is dealing with a more kind of conceptual experience of like really thinking about, kind of turning over in your mind, analyzing. Like for instance, there are the contemplations. There are many styles of contemplation, but they're like the contemplations of the four turnings of the mind, for instance. So that means like with the first of the four turnings, which is precious human birth or precious human life, then we contemplate, okay, why is the human life precious? And then we have kind of the different sort of ways of thinking about that, really sort of turning it over in our mind so that it really takes root, like contemplating or thinking about like the 8 leisures, the 10 endowments, the ways that it's taught, how precious the human life is by way of example, by way of numbers, by way of causes. And so we think about this in such a way that, then it kind of really takes root. We really feel like we understand, through that conceptual kind of thinking about and contemplating. But then meditation, eventually the goal with meditation is that it becomes non-conceptual. So you're actually meditating in such a way that you're not actually applying the mind conceptually. So that's the difference, really, is like conceptual and non-conceptual.
In the beginning of this discussion, you mentioned to avoid the 3 causes of, faults of base?
The 3 faults of the vase,
Of the
or
vase.
vase. Yeah, vase,
Okay.
yeah.
And what are the 3 faults of the vase?
드니다 나위 마년 카복 더 위종스. 텔레 카레 이를 만지. 두켄 말이 나위 마가 이를 만지 샤브더 더 위종스. 뇨모 탐데 두켄 더 위종스.
So the 3 faults of the vase are, they say, like listening like a vase or not listening in such a way that's actually not listening, meaning you're just totally distracted, you're not taking anything. And the example that's given for that is being like a vase that's turned over. So if you pour something in, nothing will go in, it just falls off.
Yeah, go here and go.
No, that's the second one.
Okay,
That's the second one.
Oh, sorry.
So the second one is being like a vase that has a crack in it. So that means that it's like in one ear, out the other, meaning you're not retaining what you're hearing, but so whatever is being poured into the vase is leaking out through the crack. And then the third fault is to be like a vase that has poison in it. So that means that listening in such a way that is like if you're really afflicted or something. And so then, like a vase that has poison in it, you pour something in and then it becomes contaminated. So that's the way to avoid the 3 faults of the vase.
If I can give a little, slightly, forgive me, a little autobiographical. Over 50 years of being involved with some form of Eastern religion initially, whether it were Indian, more like Hindu, or Buddhism. As I've been practicing Buddhism, I've found that Dharma is extremely effective in expediting and easing my emotional side. However, this question of business leads me to think, well, no, it may not solve all problems. And there's part of life that requires the samsaric mind to directly solve issues as well. And I'm thinking particularly of business issues. And I'm thinking of the cliche that comes out of Christianity, which is render unto Caesar what is Caesar's. And that, I guess what that would mean in Buddhism is, well, render unto samsara what is samsara's in certain matters. But I'd like your opinion on that in terms of more a pure Buddhist perspective.
Yapo lapo. Teneri resro. Coba mesti yo marwa.
Tesa pena dinati young dinati korwegi dunda korwa wrong dawo chego gare dawo pena lapa do business dawo yana any kong nyegi tena kongi semna kaka dawo zogi dinati pena nyamne dan korwa
Sí, relájate.
yang de chego gare pena de changma nga dawo kosong.
Re ta jatang teri ina ko korwa se na korwe rang yi hebe na nyangen de hi juba yins. Ta korwe rang yi hebe na nyangen de hi juba yins se ya de ta ki korwa tele jikbo sen tele jikbo jik ko mela rang la ke ya hian la phama chi na ko korwa cha ndo bro wa. Ina korwa de ki na ne ne tan kon thi wa na yere ko jik sombon no zang da wo business tene do ina tene ko nyangen de ndo bres.
So the key is, so yeah, yes, there is definitely like wisdom in what you're saying here. The key though is not to like think of them as totally separate, because also, as it is said, like it is through kind of understanding or mastering the ways of samsara that then enlightenment or awakening can be found. And so, like this example, for instance, of Bodhisattva Norzang, who was a very, very skilled kind of businessman. But if we understand samsara well and work within samsara in such a way that applies the Dharma, where the Dharma is fused with the worldly activity, then that itself can become a means of awakening. On the other hand, what is really of samsara are the attitudes of the mind. So if we're approaching something like business in a typical worldly way of, I need to gain and the other should lose, or may I like succeed at the expense of others, then that will not benefit you either in a worldly sense or in a Dharma sense.
No questions on Zoom.
Okay. So you have some questions? That's good. Thinking about. Right, so actually we said we are a Dharma practice, really good opportunity. I said before, and also I said, with Dharma practice, is on one hand is maybe difficult, we can say that. But one hand is actually not that difficult, So I saying that the reason it's not difficult means you cannot go somewhere you get or you can buy things, or you no need to. So just own thing, the own mind. I think I give before, I think one example, right? I think maybe you probably don't forget, I think you guys, but we tell again. So one is my friend or teacher. So he says externally conditions difficult, cultural revelation, and
So this was during the Cultural Revolution in China
Tibet,
or
or-
Tibet.
so and also this the kind of work, is no pay, nothing, but really kind of forceful. Maybe there's no break, and there's not enough food. Like outside there, conditions very bad. But so he's a lama, so before. So there's kind of his friends. Actually, one of my father and also his friends. So sorry for him. Kind of difficult situation, this kind of happening. So sorry, you're very difficult. You're very suffer, these conditions under the Chinese. So the Lama said, no problem, that's okay. So actually, he's saying is that time is actually, I don't know, maybe 8 to 12. There's kind of 10 o'clock, something there's 5-minute break. That's really 5 minutes, Not we say 5 minutes, then maybe 20 minutes, not like that. So I think 5 minutes, 5 minutes. So he said he just like physically work, some challenges, so maybe not enough food, so very difficult for him. But then he just 5 minutes, he has some sort of like tuba, long tuba like that. So 5 minutes, he said, that's enough. He no issues, all day.
So he would just meditate under
like
his
practice. So
cloth for 5
probably
minutes.
during the work he practiced too, but really practice maybe 10 minutes a day, morning 5 minutes, then afternoon 3 o'clock something 5 minutes. So that's I think the Dharma practice. One hand, yes, you guys the difficulties chanting, sitting, maybe they're difficult, but one hand is can do, anytime, anywhere. Externally, his time is no free the Dharma at all.
They didn't have freedom of
Right,
religion
so if
at
you-
that time.
Something you say, Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum, maybe killed him immediately, but he cannot kill his mind. So that's how powerful, how easy I say, Yes, of course, we love the Dharma objects, bell, dorje, okay. That's kind of symbolized,
So he's saying we have it really easy
Right,
as
so
far as conditions for Dharma practice.
Right, so can do. So sometimes you have to have sitting, have to have shine on, have to have bell, have to have door. Yes, if you good, everything's good. Yes, good. But also other hand is really, you can't do anywhere, anytime. So that's I think we are. I think many opportunities, So dealing our afflicting emotions.
To work with our mind, we have lots of opportunities.
Okay. So dedication.
Okay, so we can close. We can conclude here with the short dedication prayer on page 24 of the prayer book. At the bottom of the page, we'll just do it in English. So second to last line on the page, or the last English line there. By the virtues collected in the 3 times, by myself and all beings and samsara and nirvana, and by the innate root of virtue, may I and all beings quickly attain unsurpassed, perfect, complete, precious enlightenment. Then 25. May the teachings of the great Dragungpa Ratna Shri, who is omniscient, Lord of the Dharma, Master of interdependence, continue and increase through study, practice, contemplation, and meditation until the end of samsara.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
we have a war.
Well, Beverly and I were thinking, today is Sean's birthday.
Oh, is
and
Sean
we-
here?
He is not yet,
Yeah.
but we've had a lot of birthdays in January. So if it was okay with Drupon and everyone here, we were thinking of doing hamburgers and hot dogs, cake, watermelon, chips to celebrate everyone's birthday, even though they're not here, just in spirit for today. So we don't have to leave and go get something to eat, and we can all continue to stay and like work and organize and clean. If that sounds okay with everybody who's staying.
Yeah, good.
Great, thanks.
Good, good.
Whose birthday is? Who is January? Sean, Gillian, Jedica,
Yvonne, and then little baby
Lila, yeah.
Yeah, you're January, baby.
Yep. Oh, well. So, and then, yes, and, Kempo Yeshi also, his birthday, so. Baby.
Yeah.
So, no. So we were just thinking of just celebrating everyone's birthday and having a good time and finish cleaning and helping with the center.
Excellent, thank you so much. So everybody, what time do you expect that it'll be
Well,
ready?
if